Hello everyone! I'm so excited that you're here with me today because I have a brand new set of color pencils sitting in front of me that we get to test and see what they're like. Have you ever heard of the WOOMER brand of color pencils? This brand right here? I hadn't heard of them until recently when I was in the different coloring groups on Facebook, and I heard a lot of you talking about this brand, so I decided I better bring them into the art studio and see what all the fuss is about. What are they like? Are they more like Prismacolors? Are they more like Polychromos? How do they compare to other Amazon brands that we've brought into the art studio before? We have a lot of questions, and I can't wait to discover with you how the WOOMER brand color pencils perform. My name is Jennifer Stay. This is Coloring Bliss. I have sleepy little Rose on a pillow back there, and it's time for us to get into WOOMER. All right, in front of me I have the WOOMER pencils, and I'm going to look at the packaging with you. We're going to discuss little details like this little cat right here. When I'm swatching, I'll explain, I think, why this cat is here. So hang on for swatching for that information. But it says color pencils, 72 colors by WOOMER. Good light fastness, soft core, artist quality, saturated colors. Now a lot of these claims are like high frequency, hot keywords that they use in marketing to get people who are searching for good color pencils to look at their brand. So whether these are light fast or not, I don't know. For this price break, for the cost that these are, I doubt that they've been through any kind of really stringent light fast color testing. But it's nice to think that they maybe have done something, but I don't think they've done much to test the light fastness. Let's see the back of it. It says it's got 72 saturates colors. And it shows a little picture of the pencil, and it talks about that the colors are for reference only, easy to blend. We've got a 3.8 millimeter soft core, break resistant lead, wide range of colors, richly saturated pigments, and it looks like these are made in China, so that's good to know. Let's slide the sleeve off. I love the bright orange. And I love that they've got the name again here on the tin. Let's see how easy this tin is to open. Okay, not bad. Beautiful tin. And one thing I like about this type of tin is usually we get 2 trays of color pencils, and you can easily take the first tray out and set it into the lid, and then you've got a full display of all your colors available in front of you when you sit down to color. So this is a really good layout for us, and I'm excited as I'm looking here at the colors for the first time. Let's take a look at this orange pencil right here and see what we have. Okay, it says here made in China, WOOMER. And it's got that little cat again, which, like I said, I'll explain to you what that cat is symbol, what I think it means here in a few minutes during the swatching. It says color pencil. The end of the pencil is dipped in paint. Right here they've got what I assume is their light fast scale, so this one's getting 4 out of 5 plus marks, whatever that means. Then we've got a number, WP132, and a name, Pale Vermilion, and a barcode over here. There you can see a little close-up of the core. Like I said, it's a 3.8 millimeter core, which is the same size as a Prismacolor pencil, so that's a good size core. Not the best. A lot of the pencils we show on this channel have a 4 millimeter core, so it's coming in as a good size core, but not the best size core. I'm looking to see if we have any metallics. We've got a good layout of grays. We've got greens, yellow greens, a white pencil, which we'll test and see just how good that white pencil is. Yeah, so far my eyes are enjoying the selection, but I'm kind of getting tripped up because they're not in the order I prefer. I love my pencils in the color wheel order. I usually start with yellow and go through all the colors on the color wheel and then end with the black and white pencils and the gray pencils at the very end. And I usually work my browns and earth tones into the pencils, whether they lean a little bit more purple, they might lean red, they might lean orange. I like to have my earth tones up and in with the groups that they belong with. So I think before we get started with swatching, the first thing I'm going to do is get these pencils organized a little bit better. So let's take one more look at how they look in the order that they were presented to me in. And now I'm going to time lapse and get these into just a rough color wheel order. Okay, we've got them all in rough order here. I ended up bundling a bunch of the browns up here. We'll see what colors they end up being. We did have one pencil who lost its tip, as you can see here, so I had to sharpen it up, and it sharpened up pretty good. I used my X-Acto School Pro electric sharpener and had no problem with that pencil sharpening. So now what I'm going to do is fill out my swatch charts. We're going to swatch 3 different ways. We're going to swatch them on white color pencil paper. That's this book right here. Let me show you what that paper looks like. This is Volume 1 Swatch Bliss, a book you can purchase at coloringbliss.com. It's such an awesome book. It has so many different you can get different options, different swatching options. This one comes with 3,600 swatches in one book, 60 swatches to a page, as you can see here. So it works really awesome for cataloging and keeping all your swatches together in one place. We're also going to swatch on the beautiful tan paper to see how, I like to see it on tan because I do color on tan tone paper, and it's a good way to see if the pencils can work well on that situation. And then of course we have this situation too, which is the black paper, the beautiful Bliss black mixed media paper. Look how pretty those Posca pencils look on black. So we'll see how the WOOMER pencils do in that situation too. So I'm going to set up the 3 swatch books here with all the names. I may just do numbers because it's a little faster than having to write the names 3 different times. So that's probably what I will do. And I'm trying to see if there's... These are really hard to read, you guys. Really hard to read. Look at like this one, for instance. Let me come to this view. Can you even see the name of the color? I think it says City Gray, and the number I think is 625. This is going to be really difficult. I'm not looking forward to writing all the numbers down, but we'll get it done. We'll do it in the white book first, and then I'll transfer all the things that all the names and numbers, or in this case, just the numbers, over to the other 2 books. Okay, let's get the swatch book set up. Okay, I've got all 3 swatch books set up, and I gotta tell you, that was difficult. These are really difficult to read. My little magnifying glass, let me show it to you, really came in handy. I went across all of the names and numbers and was able to see them much better using that tool. So I recommend having something like this. You could use your magnifying glass on your phone as well to be able to read those numbers. But wow, that was not fun. All right, now before I start the swatching montage, I wanted to mention that we are not sponsored by WOOMER. I purchased these pencils with my own money so that I could be as impartial impartial as possible while doing a review for you. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we have some new workshops up over at coloringbliss.com. Did you know that we have membership levels at coloringbliss.com where you can get free coloring pages, discounts on things like purchasing the swatch books, and hundreds of hours of coloring workshops where we teach things like that back wall right there. I taught how to color white objects in a recent workshop. That one was tricky. A white dog on a white pillow. And how do you make them look separate but both still look white? It was a lot of fun to teach that workshop. So follow the link in the video description and come become a Coloring Academy member. All right, while you're watching me swatch all 72 pencils on 3 different papers, let's talk about the cat symbol that we see on the WOOMER products. I promised you that I would explain that, so let me read to you now on Amazon from the details section all about this brand. It says, "Why WOOMER is worth it. The name WOOMER whispers our heart, a playful nod to the gentle trill of a contented kitten. Like a trusted companion, we lean in. Quality isn't negotiable. We handpick materials that endure late-night inspiration bursts and precision drafts. Artists, designers, students, and pros trust us to fuel their craft without compromise." So it sounds to me like the name WOOMER is something about the sound of a kitten. I've never thought about the word WOOMER as a sound of a kitten before. What about you? All right, the swatching is finally done on 3 different papers. We have 72 colors to look at. Let's start by looking at the white. And you can see the kind of the selection that they've given us. It goes on to a second page where we've got a few more yellow greens, some nice grays, a black and a white. I'm looking at it and trying to decide if I feel like there's any holes in the set. There's only really one orange. Maybe Steve, would you take a second and come over and look at this with me? Red. Let me get out my color wheel here. So we got some yellows, yellow oranges, maybe only one orange with a dark with it. Red orange, one of them. Red. Well, we've got a couple options in the reds. Red violet. Violet, blue violet. Is there a good blue?
Yeah.
Pretty good, that one there.
Yeah, we're even 211.
211. Oh, down here, yeah, blue. Blue greens. Couple options in the blue greens. Greens, and then we had just a few really light yellow greens here. So, you know, it's a set of 72. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I mean, I'm glad to see that it covers, you know, all the 12 colors of the artist color wheel. As far as lights and darks or tints and shades,
Yeah.
It seems like most of what I'm seeing are all the midtones, right?
Really mid-tone heavy. Yeah, I agree.
But you know, like you said, I guess in 72 it's probably...
It's hard.
Yeah.
I prefer a set with around 120. That's where, for me, the sweet spot happens because they get lights and darks, not just midtones. So with a set of 72, we're just shooting for something to represent everything on the color wheel.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in the lack of tints and shades.
Yeah, like skin tones.
I mean, there are other 72 sets we've seen that are better at covering that.
More balanced, yeah. Let's check them out on black now and see what we think of them on black. Let me show you some other black color pencils on black so you can get an idea. Let me see what I've got here. I don't have that many great in this book. Here we go, Posca. That'll give you a little comparison here. And then I think they do pretty good on black. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, they look nice.
Yeah, there's a few that are, you know, just look like kind of the same color on black, but I think they're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to color something on a dark background, I think these would work. This is a more of a mid-tone background, our tan paper here. And let me show you a comparison here. I think I had one marked. Yeah, here's the OHUHU set of 72. That's a set that we recently did here on this channel to show you the difference between the two. I think they're both doing great on tan. They both look great. Let's look at the second page. The grays look really pretty. That white looks really pretty on there. Okay, so I think so far I'm feeling like they're a good, if you're looking for a set that have a good coverage of the main mid-tones, this is going to do it. Now, I have to tell you, I was reading the comments, the customer comments on the Amazon page, and WOOMER has already said they're looking into doing a bigger set.
Oh.
So they already have plans, I think, of coming out with 120. So if you want to wait for that, I might recommend that you wait for a bigger set because you'll get some of the tints and the shades, all the colors that you need to fill out a beautiful blend. Now, I'm going to write down some of my thoughts on this sheet. This is a worksheet that we use. It's a 5-step testing worksheet to help me think through all the different details that we need to think about when we are analyzing a set of color pencils. So for instance, this is the WOOMER brand, and then on the line I wrote fresh. It's a little confusing. We're going to put a link to the fresh set, but when you come in here and you look at the listing here on Amazon, you get 2 sets, a basic and a fresh, and I have no idea what the differences are between the 2 sets. Comment below if you know. I tried to research as close as I could to figure it out, but the fresh set is what I purchased and we're looking at today, so that's why I wrote fresh 72 color pencils there. The other thing is price. When I bought my set about a month ago, I only paid $25 for my set because it was on sale. Right now they're asking in the US on Amazon as of May 21st, they're asking $42.68 for the fresh set. But if you scroll down a bit, you can see they have some promotions going on, 30% off, 10% off. So using those coupons, I was able to get today's price down to $29.88 for the full set of 72. That's 42 cents per pencil. So watch for those deals and the sales and the coupons to get your price down. Now the first step on our 5-step testing worksheet is to swatch on white and then on black. Usually I have a little black card glued into this worksheet, but today I swatched the whole thing on the black, the white, and the tan, and then right here is where I write my swatching notes, so give me a second to write down a few notes. Okay, I wrote that the pencils feel very smooth and that there were only a few that felt slightly gritty during the coloring process. One pencil was noticeably off-centered. They had good coverage on tan and black paper, and the selection felt balanced but lacking in tints and shades. Okay, more information on the pencil. They have a 3.8 millimeter core. The color name is on the pencil, yes. The color number on the pencil, yes. Legibility, I'm going to put poor. Had a really hard time reading them, although they are easier to read when you actually hold the pencil up. When they're in the tray, they're really hard to read, but when you hold them up, you can sort of tilt and tip them into the light, and then you're able to read them better. I do also like the color names. They're not too gimmicky. They're just like this one right here is dark brown. So it's very descriptive names that they have used on the pencils, so I like that a lot. Okay, the core content, I believe these are wax. I've talked about this before, the difference between wax and oil when they're describing the pencils. I think that they said in the literature that these are wax-based, but they feel oil-based to me. They feel closer to a polychromos. So maybe I'll put wax/oil. It's hard to tell on these pencils what's going on without more information from WOOMER. Pencil shape is round. Packaging type is a tin pack, and there were no extras included, no swatch charts or catalogs, that kind of thing. There was nothing extra, and the country it was made in is China. Okay, so that finishes up the top of the worksheet and step 1A and B, where we do all of our swatching. So now we get to move on to number 2, which is a color blend. So let me grab a pretty yellow, orange, and red. Okay, for the yellow, the red, and the orange pencils for the blend, I picked cadmium yellow number 035 in case you'd like to do a blend next to on your paper and see how it turns out. And then 045 is called dark chrome yellow that I picked for orange. And then for red, I picked chili pepper 149. Okay, now we're going to do Jennifer's rule of blending thirds on this little rectangle right here. Jennifer's rule of blending thirds can take almost any 3 colors and bring them together into a beautiful blend. I'm going to put a link in the video description if you'd like to watch a video where I teach this blending method. If you struggle with blending, you need to use Jennifer's rule of blending thirds. Next up is step 3, where we want to see how the pencils react to a solvent. In this case, we're using odorless mineral spirits or Gamsol. So what I'm going to do is color the left 2/3 of the rectangle in blue and the right 2/3 of the rectangle in yellow, which gives us a green in the center, where we can then use the odorless mineral spirits to see how it breaks down and blends together and reacts to such a solvent. Also wanted to mention that you need to be really careful when using solvents, especially if you have pets or kids around. Follow the rules and all the warnings that are given on the bottle and you'll be just fine. Alright, now for step number 4. Here we're going to test for crumbs and for sharpening. So I'm going to use a green on this test, and we'll do some light to heavy pressure from left to right, and we'll see if it creates crumbs and how easily I can sharpen the pencil. Next up is step 5, layering. We're going to use violet this time and see how many layers these pencils can lay down on this beautiful color pencil paper. Finally, I'm going to do a bonus test. This is a water solubility test. So I've made 4 little swatches, and I'm going to use a little water and a paintbrush to see if I can move the pigment from the swatch to the right of the swatch. This is important to know, so if you're using your color pencils in a mixed media situation, you'll know whether your pencils are stable or if they are water soluble. Okay, we've got all the tests performed, and I've even done the pencil scoring, so it's time to look at how they performed, how they feel, the product packaging, all those things. But let's start with number 2. Look up here at the blending and how I felt it went. Look how pretty of a blend we were able to achieve. So pretty. So they're quite delightful to blend with. When I did the solvent, I felt like it was quite difficult to make the solvent break down the waxes and the oils so that the pigments could flow. So it wasn't that great with odorless mineral spirits. I'd like to try it with other solvents to see how I feel about it, but with OMS it didn't work that great. Okay, now on number 4, I said that there were very few crumbs. It felt very nice, and the sharpening experience was very easy. Bring that up so you can see. There's a little crumbs, and also you can kind of rub it and it smears, so that's going on there as well. Now number 5 is all about layering and how well I can layer, how many layers I can get. I got up to number 4 before I needed to use medium pressure, and then number 6 I had to use heavy pressure. So we got a total of 6 layers there. Let me circle that. So that was really good. That compares to, as you can see here, we were able to do the same number of layers with the Hullava pencils. Medium pressure on 4 and heavy pressure on 6, and then we didn't do 7 or 8 because I felt like that was all the paper could handle. Look at the difference here between the two blends here. We got a much smoother blend with the odorless mineral spirits using the Hullava pencils. So it's very interesting. Okay, then the water solubility test was interesting as well. You can see here that the WOOMER pencils are not stable. As soon as you hit it with water, color and pigment starts to come off. I did the same test here with the Hullava pencils, and there's almost no movement of color up here. Now, like I said earlier, this water solubility issue is important to know, because if you decide to color with some water-based markers or add some watercolor on top of these pencils or with the pencils, you need to know whether that pencil is going to stay or if it's going to move. Sometimes it's great if it moves. It makes a much more flowy look. It can help with blending. That's what water-soluble pencils are, like watercolor pencils like Inktense or Albrecht Dürer. Those types of pencils are meant to be water-soluble. But these types of pencils are not meant to be water-soluble. So this test is kind of important for all those reasons, and it's good to know. Okay, let's look at how I scored these. I gave the product packaging a 4. I love the tin. I love the way it works in the tin. It's great. The only thing that could be better is maybe if they put it in a nice canvas case where I can organize and reorganize the pencils. That would put it up to a 5. Overall value, I gave it a 3. We've got 42 cents per pencil. Not the cheapest pencils I've ever reviewed, but definitely not the most expensive pencils either. So it got a nice mid-ground 3 overall value. The pencil design and anatomy. I scored this pretty low. I gave it a 2 because I felt like these pencils were great except for the labeling, which was really difficult for me to read. It was a challenge, and so I didn't enjoy that at all. So it got a 2. The set color balance, I gave it a 3 because it needed more tints and shades, but it's not a 2 or a 1 because it had a really good balance across the color wheel. Pencil performance, I gave it a 3. It blended really beautifully up here with our number 2 test here. They lay down really nice, and you can do all the things that you want to do, but they shouldn't be water soluble. And they didn't work super great with the solvent, so that means I gave it a 3. Pencil feel and experience, this is kind of odd. I ended up giving it a 5 because I really like the feel of the pencils. The way they color down is really nice. They feel good in the hand, they sharpen well. I enjoyed the experience, and I would color with these again. So I gave it a 5 because of all of that. So let me add all this up and we'll see what the score is. Okay, we've got a total score, and I gave it a total of 20. To give you a little comparison, the OHUHU Hullava pencils scored 25. So in this, if these were head-to-head, the Hullava would have won. Even though these are more expensive of a pencil, they scored higher on all the performance, and just overall they scored higher. So, okay, so would I recommend the WOOMER pencils? Right now, I would say no. I would say hold off and wait for the 120 set. If we had a set of 120 pencils here, that would change a lot of the scores because we'd have a better balance of tint and shades. And who knows what they'll do quality-wise and if they'll change the body of the pencils. So I would wait, keep an eye on WOOMER. If you do decide to purchase this set, make sure you get the coupon so that you can get the best deal possible. Now, if you like this kind of video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel because I have a lot more content coming your way, including more giveaways. We love doing this kind of videos for you. Thank you so much for all your support here on YouTube. We are so close to hitting the 100,000 subscriber mark. I would love your help, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, colorful, blissful day. Goodbye, everyone. Okay, we have a little visitor. This is Grayson. He really wants to say hi. He really likes WOOMER because it has cats on the packaging and on the pencils. Yeah, Grayson's our newest pet in our family, and he is fitting in really well, and we love him, but he's being naughty, so I'm going to give him to Steve and have him go out of the art studio.
Okay.
Good boy. And Rose continues to sleep.